York, a city that worships power of any kind, Gotti's reached beyond gambling and loan sharking into the garment center, the garbage business, and the construction industry. And he wanted everyone to know what he did, as long as they couldn't prove it. He ascended to the top of the Gambino crime family by organizing the assassination of his predecessor.
Sammy Gravano was somebody who was going to open the garage door to the workings and the criminal activity of this family.
Described how Gotti ordered the killing of Gambino boss Paul Castellano.
The government doesn't like the idea because I know John Gotti, the person, and the government puts their own spin on it.
The Teflon is gone, the Don is covered with Velcro, and every charge in the indictment stuck.
But the jury thought the content nailed John Gotti and his co-defendant, Frank Locascio.
Arriving at Marion, they told me I was a threat to institutional security. When I heard whacked, I never gave it any thought to what that meant. That these tapes were tampered with. I'm saying they could have been tampered with.
John Gotti Sr. was the most famous mobster of his generation.
We're in. Welcome back to the Roll the Bones podcast. Brother Trev will be with us momentarily, but I'm going to give a couple shout outs ahead of before we get into this. First and foremost, thank you for all the mods for being here for this monumental occasion. We're joined by Lewis Kasman tonight, the most powerful and influential advisor in the Gotti administration. He knows John Gotti better than he knows himself. But I also want to throw some special love to Anthony Arlotta, who is always got that Pazzo blend on standby, ready to go. We had a great time last night, and I also want to show some love to Ryan Cosby. I love you, buddy. God bless America, and God bless Ryan Cosby. So, Lewis, thank you for being here with me, brother.
What's up, Chris? Glad to be here.
We're going to have a great thing tonight. I also want to give one special shout out to because I've been down with the flu. We've been recovering. We're getting things back on track. But thank you to Chloe Roma. We had a great conversation. It was a great live. I look forward to sitting with you in the future, and we're going to do some great things together. But now, on to Lewis Kasman. Bro, I got to ask you, did you ever think that in your life you would ever get close enough to somebody as monumental as John Gotti?
Never. It was what a ride for somebody like myself, growing up in a middle-income suburban house, starting out in Staten Island, winding up in Long Island. It was quite a journey, and really something else. And I'm always going to speak about him. I'm always going to speak about who he was, his legacy, and the kind of boss, that he was, and as far as I'm concerned, and as far as millions of other people, there'll never be another one like him. He can't be replicated, because as bad as he was, as tough as he was, and he was tough as they come, he's just fair, an honorable tough guy. An honorable gangster. That's who this man was. If that makes any sense, which to me it does.
I mean, you were around a lot of people, a lot of major figures within the Mafia. Do you believe John was kind of the embodiment of Cosa Nostra and what it represented? Or do you think he was kind of...
No, he was all Cosa Nostra. He was all Mafia through and through. Me, I was an enigma. okay, because he needed somebody. He needed that outlet. He needed somebody that wasn't going to kiss his ass and tell him what he wanted to hear.
Right.
And I was in his head and he was in my head. So I had that way I could communicate with him. And basically I could read him, so, that's when you really care about somebody, when you could read them. And
At what age would you say what age were you when you were first introduced to John Gotti?
Well, my next door neighbor was Mike Coiro, who was a prominent organized crime attorney, very close to Angelo Ruggiero, very close to Gene Gotti, John's brother. And that's Jeannie is the one who introduces me to John, because they would be at Mike Coiro's house. He was my immediate next door neighbor growing up in Merrick. So I want to say that was, I don't know, I'm 68 now. I would say, I don't know. I would, just say I was 20. I could have been maybe 21. I could have been 19. I would say, let's say 20 for the purposes of our conversation. Yeah. So you're talking a lot of years.
What was, this is before, I would assume this is before John became the boss. And
yeah, he was a street guy.
Yep.
And actually his brother Jeannie was made before he was made. So
really?
Yeah. So yeah. But he may not have been a high-ranking person when I first met him, but his presence, he had that presence, Chris. When you were around, everybody gravitated to him, even before he was the boss. He had that presence. He had that personality. You wanted to be with him. You wanted to hang out with him. You wanted to go to dinner with him. He had that way about him. And even when he was broke, and he was broke for most of his life, when he was broke and you needed help, if he had $1 left in his pocket, he gave you that $1, which you don't find in the life of organized crime. They're usually trying to take that $1 out of your pocket.
Yeah, that's fair. But now it's just the government that does that. But so what was your take of him when you first met him? Like, were you intimidated, or were you kind of like, wow, like,
a lot of people ask me that. I was never intimidated by him. I had great respect for him. I knew I took my shots when I had to make my point, so to speak. I knew when he was twisted or if something was up, so I didn't have to be so opinionated at that point. And whatever I said to him privately, when his men were around, his thugs were around, he was treated with the utmost respect. I never took that liberty. If I was with John Jr. or if I was with Pete and things like that, I would be a little bit more opinionated. But when I was around any of his thugs, I held myself in accordance with, how I knew he would want that. And,
right.
Yeah. And that's just how it was. I never took that liberty. I never put myself in that position where I would have to be checked by him. I just never, sometimes you just know not to put yourself where you don't belong. And
right.
if he never put me where I didn't belong, if he had something he wanted to say to somebody and I happened to be there, he would either excuse himself or I knew when to excuse myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But just got brought to my attention because I can't see the chat. The boss, Anthony Arlotta, is in the chat. He's here.
The Springfield boss is here?
Yep. Ain't nobody in this area knows as much about Pazzo wine than the man who created it itself. So make sure the order form for Pazzo blend is pinned at the top of the chat. You can get over there, put some, it might be too late for Thanksgiving, but you can certainly get some for Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. I just took 6 bottles.
See?
Yeah, I just took 6 bottles. Yeah, he shipped it to me.
Kasman's going to get loaded up on Pazzo. We had a great time with Pazzo last night. It was a fantastic evening. God bless Pazzo. God bless Ryan Cosby. We had a great time. But anyways, like going back to with John, I don't believe there's ever been a figure within the Mafia that created so much Hollywood buzz, hype. Granted, he was at that transition of the media.
Mhm.
Who's that? Is that Trev? Brother Trev, joining the chat, joining the live. Brother Trev, let's make introductions here. Lewis Kasman, I want you to meet my brother in arms over here, Brother Trev. We were in the midst of discussing how John Gotti, being the most, arguably one of the biggest figures, period. But he was at that transition of the media craze, where there was more cameras, more publicity. I don't think there's ever been a more photographed gangster in history. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what's your take? What's your take on, the kind of the pop culture figure that he became?
Well, he killed his way to the top. So once Castellano is gone, the media loved it. That was the time. The media loved him. They hawked him. Wherever we went, they went. We went to Florida, they went. Anywhere we went, the media was in tow. And you just you fall into it. He didn't seek the media out. You just fall into it and you become a part of that way of life. And you're talking the biggest media people in the world. Barbara Walters, Larry King, Dan, what's the guy that got fired? Dan Rather. The biggest people, in media, the biggest anchors were pursuing him. And if you look at some of these people today, they all made their bones on the back of John Gotti.
See, that was a Roll the Bones plug. They made their bones on the back of John Gotti. Right. There was a reference there. Every Correct. Time Bones is mentioned, outside of if it's done by a guest, there's got to be a whistle or something that goes off.
Yeah, need that.
Roll the fucking bones, Chris.
See, this is
Where's
why.
Yep.
Okay. So
yeah, he'll get the fucking balloons.
These media hounds made their bones on his back. And that's the way it was. So everybody fell into it. And that was the 80s and the 90s. And that's what society wanted. That's what the world wanted. That's what New York wanted. That's what made New York so great back in that era. Yeah, everybody was trolling John, from Trump, you name it. The richest people in the country, prime ministers, Whitney Houston, the biggest people in the world wanted to be in his company, wanted to, just be in the same room as him.
Mm-hmm. It was in that, John he was still in that belt when the Mafia was at its most powerful,
right.
And like,
exactly.
Let me ask you this, and it was a question I've been thinking about. I know Trev's got some questions too. But with Paul Castellano, right. If Paul didn't get killed that night, I was actually just asking his opinion of this earlier today. If Paul didn't get killed that day, do you think John would have gotten killed?
I think Paul was going to make the move on him, yeah, because it goes back to the tapes regarding Angelo Ruggiero and Angelo's heroin trafficking with his brother Sal, who was one of the so-called biggest heroin dealers in the country, who was on a Learjet and the plane crashed. So there was all those recordings. Paul Castellano was against narcotics trafficking, so he says, but he took the envelopes. He didn't question where the money was coming from Angelo. And Neil Della Croce was somewhat of a father figure to who was the underboss of the Gambino family at the time, a real gangster, real throwback to Italy. And him and John were very, very close. And on his deathbed, he told John, it's either kill or be killed. And Paul wanted those tapes, and Neil wasn't giving him the tapes, and Angela wasn't giving him the tapes. So that's the way that happened. And, and you got to remember, when Carlo Gambino, the boss of the Gambino, the namesake of the Gambino family, his nephew was kidnapped. And Carlo Gambino went to John to take out the kidnapper, McBratney.
Mm-hmm.
And McBratney was murdered.
That's the one where they posed as the cops, right?
Correct. McBratney was murdered in the bar on Staten Island. And John goes to jail, Lewisburg. And Roy Cohn was his lawyer. I don't know if you know that name, Roy Cohn. He was a very influential lawyer back in that era. That's when a lot of the judges were on the take and so on. And that was a state case. And so I misspoke, not Lewisburg. That was a state case, Greenhaven. So that was the deal made. I think he did 4 or 5 years or 6 years. I'll be corrected by somebody in the chat soon. And yeah, so that's how that went down. And that's really how John, Carlo Gambino turned to him. Carlo Gambino had 500 guys he could have went to.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of respect John had. Even back then. He was wild. He was wild. Chris, Trev, he grew up dirt poor. Leaky roof, no food, no heat. Used to sleep in burlap potato bags wrapped up with him and his brothers. A family brew of 8-10 people. So he knew what it was to come, to grow up that way in East New York.
So when you think about the word loyalty now, has that definition changed? Like, either from your Gotti experience or through the Gotti years, because it really sounds like he was an individual that loyalty was a all or nothing type situation.
100%.
That'll get you killed over it. So has that changed for you since?
I was 1,000,000%. Remember, I handled all his lawyers.
Right.
I handled 99% of his personal business, including his family. I was in his counsel. He was in my counsel. So yeah, trust was that issue. It was 100% trust. You'll have the haters say, "Oh no, he was cooperating before." That's bullshit. That's all bullshit. Okay, I was subpoenaed in 2005. If I was a confidential witness, they wouldn't be fucking subpoenaing me in 2005.
Right.
So I buried this man. I paid for his funeral. His own brother, Richie, stole the money. There was $50,000 put on the side. When I went to get the 50 grand, it was gone. And I said to Richie, "Where's the money?" I kept it. He says, "You pay for the fucking funeral. You're his pet. You pay for it." So
I think we saw a picture of that check, actually.
Correct.
Yeah. That's history right there, man.
So, I was loyal till the end. I delivered the only eulogy. That was his wish, not his children, me. He had one son, Peter, who he adored and loved. And Peter and I we were best of friends. We were brothers. And I said to Peter, "Come up and join me." He says, "No, my father wants you." Yeah.
No.
So that speaks volumes. That speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's heavy for sure. Yeah.
And maybe 700-800 people in the funeral parlor.
How was that received though amongst? Now, I mean, even when John was locked up, you were, kind of extending, you were his liaison between John and the family, which gives you an extremely powerful position. With even when he was on the street, how was that taken by other made guys in the family? You're not a made guy. You're not even, you're not in the mafia. Technically, you walk adjacent to it. And being so close to John, did people fucking want to kill your ass, or because I know how treacherous that world is, bro.
It's totally treacherous. But they were in such fear of him. They probably wanted to kill me, kill his son. 100%. But these guys were so in fear of him, and most of them respected him. But respect and fear,
It's a fine line.
it's a fine line.
Yeah.
And he was in jail. They didn't have to be bothered anymore, you know. But when he was on the street, they probably all fucking hated me, you know. They weren't going to say anything, you know, to my face. They loved me, hugged me, kissed me, you know. And the greatest compliment was paid to me by a guy by the name of Joe Acuri, an old school gangster, who, after I delivered the eulogy, he had tears in his eyes, and he came up and hugged me. He says, "Where did he find you? Where did you come from?" An old school gangster. He was on the administration. He was a made guy, captain, whatever. Family goes back 100 years to Italy. So the old school guys loved me. The new guys probably hated me. And a lot of the jealousy was always great. You know, when you see someone like myself, he only wanted me to have dinner with him. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. You know, I don't want to overstate what it was. There was always the chair left open, and they knew who was going to sit in that chair. Even with his own family, you know, they didn't know if I was coming, but they knew if the chair was vacant, they knew who was going to sit in that chair. So he sent the messages to everybody when he was on the street. And then afterwards, I really didn't give a fuck. I didn't interact with most of those people. I interacted with his brother, Pete, and with his son, and maybe Jackie D'Amico, who was very loyal to John till the end. And when I had to interact with them, you know, they had no choice, because as long as he was breathing, they all assumed that I was in communication with him, which I was. So they didn't want no aggravation. You know, they were given their envelopes. They were doing what they had to do. And they just wanted the quid pro quo. They figured they're going to outlive him. And they were right. They did outlive him. So, but I got more respect from all those other people. It was his son and his brothers that were really the most vicious and the most jealous. His own blood. They were not only jealous of me, and they not only betrayed me, but they betrayed him. Because he was the boss, and I was an extension of that man when he was the boss.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but life goes on, and like his son did what he had to do, I did what I had to do. You know, I took it where I had to take it. I took it as far as I could go. I wasn't going to be extorted by anybody. I wasn't going to be abused by anybody when he was gone. And he would be the first one to say to me, "Lewis, you don't need any of these people. They're all lowlifes." He says, "Listen to me," he says, "and I'm from that life. You don't need nothing with these people. Don't be impressed by them." Need I say more?
It's true. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
listen, John, it seems like, I mean, me and you we've talked plenty over the last couple weeks. It seems like John protected you as his own son. He insulated you from things. He kept you safe from things. He trusted you more than anybody else, and which is a lot. How much? That's a tremendous amount of responsibility to have put on you, coming from the boss of one of the most powerful families.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in you representing him in certain situations, and these are all fucking killers. Like,
Exactly right.
great fucking killing machine. Some of these guys. I mean, some of the stories I've heard of, like, all right, as a name, I know Ant had brought him up before. One guy in particular, Joe Watts.
Oh my
Like,
he was
was he the real deal?
Joe Watts was as real as they come. I would put Joe Watts in the league of anybody in that life. Okay. And yeah, Joe, I mean, I was with Joe Watts a lot. He vacationed with John. He was there with us. He didn't mingle. No one mingled with John's family, the wife and the kids, except me. A couple of the guys from the Bergen would come around, but never. That was that life. This was his life. You know what I'm saying? So Joe Watts was in the life, and Joe Watts had the same capacity and the same power as a captain. And but Joe Watts, you know, he was a huge earner, and he was a stone cold killer, a tough man. He bought his way around Castellano, bought his way around John, diamonds, gold bars, money. You know, John afforded him that lifestyle, allowed him to commit crimes, you know, as a member and as a captain, an unofficial captain of the Gambino organized crime family. You know, and that's,
what about
that's heavy.
I mean, there's so many of these dangerous individuals, like in Joe Watts. I've always heard that name, that reputation. And I was always, that's what I'm most curious about, is how much of these guys' reputations were inflated by Hollywood and in media, because, you know, they like to sensationalize a lot of these things. So it's trying to separate what's fact and fiction is always important. Was John on that level with Joe Watts, like a straight street, like, you know, there were some guys, like, you know, look at Greg Scarpa Sr., you know, he was basically Michael Myers on the street. You know what I mean? People were terrified of him. You know, was John one of those individuals?
100%. There was nobody on John J. Gotti's level. Nobody in that life then, and from what I see now, nobody in that life now. The closest person to him in any way would be his brother Jeannie. Okay, but there was only a one John Gotti, and as tough as he was, and as ruthless as he was, I know you're going to think I fell on my head, but he was so fair. He was always for the underdog. He was not a bully. Like, we were in business together. He was the boss. He could have very easily said to me, hey, listen, Lewis, you know, you got all these accounts. You got those from me. There's no 50-50 split here. You know what? I'm going to put you on a salary. No, at the end of the month, it was a 50-50 split. There's no boss in organized crime that splits with their partner. Because number one, they're all fucking thieves. So you're never going to get a fair shake. Number one. And number two, that's just not how they roll. But John Gotti, that's how he rolled. And he rolled that way in life too. In his criminal life. I'm not saying from his men he didn't have an edge. 100%. 100%. But in my dealings with him, on the whole legitimate side, he never edged me. Never.
Can you
down the middle?
I apologize, Lewis.
No, that's okay.
So you were talking about, you know, business, business and everything like that, the legitimate business. You know, what can you tell us about Scorpion Enterprises? Okay.
When Castellano was the boss, he was partners with Frank Purdue Chicken. He had a company called Dial Poultry. Dial Poultry used to sell all the chicken to all the butcher shops in New York, and Waldbaum Supermarket, and all the major players in New York, in the 5 boroughs. John didn't have that. Castellano had Western Beefs. The family had Scarra Mixed Concrete. There's a place, there's 10 locations in Florida called Joseph's Food Market, owned by the Castellano family. Till this day, John never had any of that. John had Arc Plumbing and Heating, which they gave him a car, okay, and whatever else they gave him. And he had Albee Trimming, Scorpio Marketing, Copymatic. We had about 6, 7, 8 companies up in the garment sector. And at the end of the day, we did $12, $13 million a year. Castellano was doing $40, $50 million a year.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean,
Castellano,
were you in with...
You remember Bobby Rubino's Castellano owned? This guy was into everything. And you know what? When Paul Castellano got murdered, John didn't take nothing from Castellano's family. Mm-hmm. Whatever they had, he let them keep. You find me a mob boss that lets the predecessor family keep everything.
Well, I mean, I know it's common practice.
That's not to say that he didn't take an envelope from Castellano's family every month, but he let them keep their businesses.
He only wants to know about the membership.
What about the membership?
It's shut off.
My membership is shut off. Well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure it out after. But what's it called? No, but it's, it seems to be common practice. I mean, the fact that John didn't strip mine Castellano's family of those businesses is an important piece here, because it is common practice to they just seize everything. I mean, Aunt educated me on that very quickly when me and him were getting to know each other, that the second you're locked up, they're going after everything, all your street rackets.
Yeah, the feds do it.
Well, and not even just the feds, the other guys in the family,
you're getting hit from all sides.
You of everything. Yeah, I mean, that's why.
Well, they weren't doing that to John. They whatever John had on the street, and like I said, the only ones that betrayed John on the legitimate side was his son and his brother. They would take shots at me, but I was a lot smarter than them, because the people that they would go to would come to me. And they would say to me, I just want to let you know what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. They thought that John Jr. thought if he would meet with Joe Gallo to try and sabotage me, they were coming and telling me. And I used to shake my fucking head. I'd say, is that fucking possible? And this is the same guy that I would sit and have dinner with.
Yeah.
And he would pour his heart out to me. A day later, he was looking to sabotage me.
I know you were talking about, I know we're jumping all over the place. So getting a little, we go back and forth between different stuff. My brain is full of information.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited to have this conversation. So you had said a little bit earlier when you made a very beautiful reference to Roll the Bones, which I support and endorse 100%. It would be that people earn their bones off of John's name. So I'm going to ask you, what is your take on Anthony Cardinelli?
The lawyer?
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious.
All right. Well, Anthony Cardinelli, he was brought into the case. Remember, Judge Glasser out of the Eastern in New York, he disqualifies Bruce Cutler and Jerry Shargell. This is before Hugh Gravano is outed as a rat. So Gravano was still in the attorney meetings and all this. And I firmly believe that Gravano was providing the government all of the attorney-client privilege communication. I don't know that factually, but that's what I believe. And John believed it too. Mm-hmm. So we have no lawyers. And I'm shopping around for lawyers all over the country. And I send everybody in from F. Lee Bailey. I send in about 13 lawyers. And he doesn't like anybody. So we find this guy. Jimmy LaRosa, who used to be Paul Castellano's lawyer, what a web we weave. He wants to become friends with John now. See, they're all a bunch of fucking hooers. Okay, every one of them. Castellano's lawyer, James LaRosa, who gets $15,000 a month in a check that I know of from Bobby Rubino's Steakhouse out of Florida. $15,000 a month. That was his retainer, besides the cash that Paul was giving him. He comes to me and says, I want to go visit John. I says, what for? He says, well, I have a lawyer. He used to represent Joe Bonanno. He's a really good lawyer, and I know you guys are having trouble with a lawyer. So John and I were very skeptical, but Jimmy LaRosa didn't want to, he wanted to befriend John. He wanted to keep his $15,000 a month coming from Bobby Rubino's, and he wanted to get into John's good graces. So we bring down this guy from Florida, Al Krieger, very well-known guy, and we got him at the end of his career. John liked him. He had a bald head like Bruce Cutler. So John liked him. And he didn't wear high-heel shoes like F. Lee Bailey did. So we get, and he wasn't drunk either, like Lee Bailey. So we get, we hire Krieger, and now we need a lawyer for Frankie Lowe. So we hire this guy, John Mitchell. And I think Anthony used John Mitchell. And John Mitchell's a very, very good lawyer, but he's better pushing paper than he is as a courtroom orator, if you know what I mean. So we're looking around, and we hear of this Tony Cardinale. So Tony Cardinale's brought into the case. I'm leaving out a lot of different things because it doesn't matter, because we'll be on here till 3 o'clock in the morning. So Tony Cardinale's brought into the case to represent Frankie Lowe. And Frankie Lowe is a very, very subdued man, very classy man, a real tough guy, but very low key, doesn't speak a lot. And so it was John's case, and John was calling the shots. And Frankie was okay with that, because that's the kind of guy Frankie was. And you remember, John was a genius. So John could read. We didn't hire jury consultants. We didn't do any of that shit that all these people do today. And because John could read the jury, John would know. And he read this jury. He told me, Lewis, he says, nothing's going to go good here. But I don't want to go ahead of myself. So we bring in Frankie Lowe, and we bring in Cardinale, and Cardinale starts to ingratiate himself with John, because Cardinale was the ultimate ass kisser. And he used to carry on in court the way John liked it, the way Bruce Cutler did. Nothing like Bruce Cutler. But, Cardinale would carry on and, point at the witnesses, and he cross-examined Gravano, good, not great, but good, okay. So John liked that. And that's how we got started with Tony Cardinale. He never was John Gotti's attorney of record during that period of time, although he tells people he was. And he never filed a notice of appearance for John Gotti before Judge Glasser in the Eastern District. What happened was, when the case, everybody gets convicted, Cardinale was like a hanger-on. And he would stay around. He would hang on. He helped with the appeal a little bit, although I did not retain him for the appeal. But what we did use Cardinale for, he was an errand boy. And that's what we used him for. In and out of the jail, I'd fly him to Marion and things of that nature. And then at some point, maybe he did become the attorney of record while John was incarcerated for a short time. And then I chased him. And I didn't need him anymore, and I was not paying him anymore. But he would still go see John at John's request, and I would pay his airfare. And so that's the extent. But Cardinale did befriend himself, and did have somewhat of a relationship with John while John was incarcerated in Marion. Yeah. And prior to that, on a very low level, while John was still, after the conviction. And that's
well, he certainly paints a different picture. He paints himself out to be, number one lead on the case. It's always just, he has an arrogance about him. And I know this is just my own personal opinion, of him. I know he's been rather abusive to friends of mine, especially Aunt, you know what I mean, in a bad way. And I've looked into some of the past cases. He didn't really do a lot of his clients any favors.
But look at his past cases. All his guys got 40 years.
Well, right. Yeah, the Angelos.
What Angulo get?
Well, remember, Ant, if you're still in the chat, Ant had told me he had represented the Angelos, and he beat him on the murder belt, but they were like 70 years old and they got like 40 years. And as Ant put, had told me, where the fuck were they going? You know what I mean?
And he used to tell John that story, and John used to sit there with us like this. We would tell the story, and he was actually proud that he beat the top count. It would have been okay if they were 30 years old. Listen, I'm not to say he wasn't a good lawyer. I was never impressed with him. Okay, and like I said, John wrote him letters. He wrote John letters. 100%. Yeah. John used to, I'm not saying no to any of that, but he was an errand boy. He was our errand boy. you know,
How much?
I mean, because
when it came down.
sorry,
Oh,
Chris.
go ahead, Trev. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, so good lawyers, you know, I have gone through a little bit of, you know, a little bit of you know, legal business and whatnot. Myself, and you know,
so I heard.
yeah, you know, it is what it is. But I wanted to know. So did he? Because I haven't gone through the paperwork like Chris has. Was there any, you know, like, because there's always, you can always try to file an appeal. You can always try to do X, Y, Z, and the third. Did he do any of that for John? Like anything besides, you know what I mean? Because like it sounds like he got hosed hard.
Cardinale?
I mean, it sounds like my question is, like,
I think he's referencing John.
Oh,
yeah. Like, you know, was there anything done as far as, you know, like I said, like anything after sentencing that you can do to try to reduce that?
We went on appeal. We hired a guy out of San Francisco, Ephraim Margolin, a brilliant scholarly man. We could have hired Mother Teresa.
Right.
You understand that the appellate court, you know,
right,
they were not going to grant any appeals. We went up on cert to the Supreme Court, just as a formal request that he didn't want to do, which we did. And of course, we were denied cert. And that was it. John was a direct commit to Marion. John did not go through the system. John left the MCC on a direct commit from Judge Glasser. He went directly to Marion, which was the ADX at the time. There was no Arizona ADX
or Florence or anything like that.
No, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And John was locked up basically 24/7 in a crate, nothing more than a crate. And that's where he stayed and died in Springfield of head, neck, and throat cancer. They were giving him Tylenol.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they were giving him Tylenol, and we had a concierge warden. We had this. Now you guys are familiar with wardens and the BLP.
Yeah.
Roll the bones. We had the same warden from the time John was a direct commit in Marion to the time John died.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a concierge warden. Yeah. So the government was out to kill him, and they did. They succeeded.
Yeah, he definitely pissed everybody off in the government. He beat them. I mean, he earned his moniker, the Teflon Don. But which actually leads me to one of the most important questions in this. How responsible are you for John beating those cases?
Right.
The prior case?
Yes. I feel like, and you got that swagger right now. You lean back. I feel like you are responsible for the Teflon Don name because you handled his day-to-days in a lot of his business.
I did, but I have to say, you know, in total transparency, his prior wins in the system, I had nothing to do with. I would like to say I did.
You were the money guy, bro.
Yeah, but it wasn't about money back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he didn't have a lot of money back then. Like I told you, John was broke most of his life. So his prior wins in the state court and in the and in the federal court before Judge Nickerson in the federal court. Mm-hmm. That was just the way it was. The government will say it was jury tampering. In the state case, he won on that union case with that O'Connor. The government will say that not guilty by every juror was fixed. Remember, it wasn't a hung jury. It was a not guilty verdict. So that means that John Gotti had to pay off all 12 jurors.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Okay. So, you know, that's bullshit. The same in the federal case. Although that was
in the Fed's indictment rate is so high, or like their winning of their indictments is so high that you know it's if you get cracked by the Feds, like I don't care what kind of lawyer you got, you're fucked. Like,
Exactly.
I think it's like a 98 point something conviction rate.
Correct. Especially out of New York.
So, I mean, state thing, like beating some state charges is one thing, but you're not beating the feds at their own game.
But let me tell you how bad the government is. In the last case, there was a female juror, and she was very favorable to John. She used to smile at him. She always looked at him. And remember, during the last trial, the government wouldn't let me in the courtroom.
Yeah.
They hit me with a subpoena. And obviously, when you're a subpoenaed witness, you can't enter the courtroom for that particular matter.
Right.
So there was this one juror. And you know what the government did? They searched her pocketbook. And that was a sequestered jury. So no TV, no newspapers, no nothing, locked in a hotel room for the entire length of the trial. They looked in her bag. They got information that she was reading a newspapers. And the government made a motion to throw off the case. And what did my favorite judge do? Threw off the case.
Of course.
You want to talk about jury tampering? That's jury tampering.
For sure. Yeah.
And the prosecutor on that case, John Gleason, his wife, the prosecutor's wife, a family member, was related to John, unbeknownst to us, because they never told us, nor did the family member, and neither did the prosecutor.
Yeah, that's crazy in itself. Like, I mean, you could do a whole lot of damage as far as even just getting a mistrial, or you never know at that point.
And he never disclosed it. We didn't know about it on appeal. This guy goes on to be a federal judge.
That would have he would have won that appeal if that came out.
Of course.
All day long. That's crazy. That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. So it comes out afterwards. He goes on the bench, this guy, John Gleason. He becomes a federal judge. And all of a sudden, this guy, he finds God. He becomes a great sentencer. He's friends with Jerry Shargell, former counsel to John. He's this guy. He's a mutt. He's a dog. I didn't want to say he's a dog. Dogs are good compared to him. And then he admits, he says, yeah, my wife, a family member, but he says, I didn't have to disclose because it was like 3 steps over. But he still had an obligation to disclose.
Absolutely.
Never did it. But he goes on Mob Museum, he goes on podcasts, he goes on YouTube, and he tells everybody.
His mouth.
Yeah, now he discloses. Now he wants to tell everybody, yeah, my wife was related. You fucking low-life piece of shit. Why didn't you tell the judge? Not that judge would have done anything, because he was a government judge and he was out to get John too. The judge was a judge. The judge's son was a prosecutor in White Plains. The whole family is government. They never had a private job. They all derived their income on the government tit.
Right.
Yeah, at that point, it's just, there is nothing you can do. It's almost like, a royal family, except for in the government. Like,
right.
It's.
And then Gleason goes on to become a federal judge. So the fix was in. He was you convict this guy, you're going to become a judge.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
John used to call Gleason Little Lord Fauntleroy. amongst yeah. This guy used to come to court like a bum, wrinkled clothes, unkept hair, like a slob, a fucking slob. And he was holier than thou. Meanwhile, he was fooling around with his law secretary, his paralegal. Which, God bless him, if that's what you want to do. But don't pass yourself off with a holy cloth. Let everybody know you're a scumbag.
I mean, it's fair. Like, I mean, but how many of those bum ass lawyers were trying to get on John's case?
Listen, all these lawyers are parasites. Like John used to say, they're all fucking cancers, every one of them. They all took cash. The only lawyer that didn't make a ton of money was Bruce Cutler. Shogel became a multi-zillionaire. Hoffman and Pollock became rich. You name any Barry Slotnick. John used to call him Barry Slotnick. His name was Barry Slotnick with a T. John used to improvise it with a P. They all became rich, representing organized crime figures.
Yeah.
But
do you remember back then what, they were charging hourly rate, or like,
there was no, John would never pay an hourly rate, and I would never pay an hourly rate. I want a flat rate.
Okay. So you're paying for the whole case flat out, even if it's through trial, whatever.
When you're in a criminal trial, you can't pay an hourly rate. Only a jerk off would pay an hourly rate.
I mean, I learned my lesson. Like I got hosed with one where I won't even talk about it, but the other one was all right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But my gun lawyer was a fucking
first of all, no lawyer is going to tell a mob guy an hourly rate. We're not going to.
Well, it's way different circumstances for sure. I mean,
we're not going to Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, on Madison Avenue, where they're going to bill you $1,000 an hour.
Right.
So that's not going to happen. These guys, these mob lawyers, they take the shopping bag and they're happy.
Well, so do you remember what ended up being paid for John's
millions of dollars over the course of time?
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
That's
millions. And don't forget, then we had to have private investigators.
Right.
Then the government would turn over the transcripts and the tapes. We'd have to transcribe the tapes. The government would give you the tapes, but they're not transcribing them for you.
Right.
So I used to have 3 kids from Columbia Law School, and I used to pay them $30 an hour back then, and they had to transcribe the tapes.
It's decent money though.
Yeah, that was
sure.
That was, I used to rent space where Bruce Cutler was, and I used to pay three young law clerks $30 an hour to transcribe tapes for John, and for Frankie Lowe.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
We had thousands of hours of tapes. It used to cost us between $7,000 and $10,000 a month just on tape costs.
Wow.
And this is like the late 80s and early 90s, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
so think about how much that would with inflation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When you look back,
we were using the same tape place that the government would use. So when I would go in to pay the bill, I would see people from the U.S. Attorney's Office going in there. So I said to the owner, I said, "What are these guys?" He says, "Lewis, they give us their business too. This guy got rich off these tapes, but we couldn't pay these guys in cash. So we used to take it out of the business."
How did John, so I'm just curious to jump back a little bit. How did John protect you when the stuff jumped off? Frankie DeCicco got killed in a bombing.
Right.
How did John insulate you from getting any blowback from that little back and forth he did that happened after?
Well, remember, I was on the down low for a long time. When a lot of the wise guys knew me, but the government really didn't know me that well then. They heard, who's this kid? Who's this guy? So they didn't put it together at that point. So what happens is when John gets arrested with the puke and with Frankie Lowe, I remember Tommy Gambino was in that case also, the namesake of the family. And he ultimately gets severed. John he tells Tommy, "Get off this case, because if we go down, Tommy, you don't belong in this case." So they make a severance, and Glasser grants that severance for Tommy Gambino. So everybody's putting up bail. Frankie Lowe came up with a big bail package, and John says, "Listen, nobody's getting bail. You're all wasting your time. You're not going to get bail." But everybody wanted to go through the motions, and John says, "All right, you want to go through the motions? I'm not going through it." I says, "No, you're going through it. These guys are not walking into court with millions, and you're going to sit there as the boss like like Mr. Poverty. It's not happening. So I put a bail package together. And when you put a bail package together, you have to fill out all these forms, where the money's coming from. You have to substantiate everything.
Right, it's a lot, like to make sure that it's not coming from an illegitimate.
Right. It can't be a tainted source. Right. I had to hire a lawyer, a white shoe lawyer, just to do all those forms for me. $25,000.
In the 80s?
In the 80s.
Yeah.
So
damn.
That man went into court, again, approximately, I'll get corrected in the comments, approximately $10 million. And I emphasize approximately. Bail package. He says,
well, they can't correct you. You said approximately. You didn't give a figure.
Well, but, the haters are out there. The people that want to kiss ass to other people, they're out there. So
are you kidding me? We get a lot of hate over here.
Yeah. And they don't even know, because all these fucking haters, they were never there. They don't know. They never shined his shoes. They never even picked up his fucking dry cleaning. So these fucking people don't know. But okay, let them hate. It's okay. They get
it's
off.
Okay. I love them.
What? I mean, and it is what it is, and what they need to do in the reality of the situation is when there's somebody here, if they're interested in knowing what's going on, they want to know real history. Why the fuck not listen to somebody who was there, regardless if it's in the front or in the back or on the side, and figure out this information and retain it and stop being a fucking idiot.
You know why, Trev? I'm going to tell you why. Because probably some of those people were the same fucking people that back in the day that were jealous, that just didn't have the balls.
That's valid for sure.
To tell John.
Well, exactly. You know what? They make it relevant, and some of these haters, especially me and Trev's, they are operators. They are
for sure
bots. They're child predators. They're people that we call out on the regular. And they don't like the circles that we run in. Mm-hmm. And as I've stated, and Trev has stated, and Lewis has stated over when he does the stuff on American Made, we ain't fucking going nowhere. So, salute. Actually, and for those that want to talk shit, salute. With Signature Blend, Pazzo. You could take one of these, drink it down, get drunk, and then stick it where it is. Sun don't shine, because none of us are going fucking anywhere.
These are the same people, grown ass men, that would see John and they'd shake. Right. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Mohegans and to Dom Calandra over from 52 Topics. Thanks for coming on the show here at Roll the Bones with Trev.
Dude, we got to get a clown. We need to get a clown in balloons that need to come down every time. Our balloon budget's going to be astronomical.
Crazy Chris, Roll the Bones.
You got a couple of on the spectrum psychopaths sitting here. 3 of them, to be exact. No, you got to be careful with my sound bar, because there might be some things that'll go off that will be less than savory.
Did you give a shout out to Amy?
Of course I did. Amy Powers, she is me and Trev, we break her balls, we bust her ass. But next week, Amy Powers and Brother Trev are going to be in Connecticut.
Okay.
And we're going to be going to a cigar event with Chaz Palminteri. Lewis Kasman has been formally invited 2 weeks ago. And he could there's still time, Lewis. There is still time. You can get a flight on a Black Friday deal, and we can come out there and Brother Anthony's going to be there. President Cosby's going to be there. It's going to be a great night. And we're gonna get wild, but regardless, do not get too far off of that topic. Trev is also an ordained minister. He'll be marrying my psychotic ass next week.
Oh, you're finally gonna get married?
You and Kayla, I am very excited, man. In fact, I believe there was some important paperwork that showed up at your house today.
The paperwork that you told me not to open, that I opened.
Well, yeah, for sure.
The important documents.
They sent you that's a federal charge, opening somebody else's mail.
Well, it's my wife's name. Well, that's what we got Lewis Kasman for.
But I have a good lawyer. Why don't you call up Tony Cardinale?
I'd rather have ball cancer.
No, you could get him cheap. You could get him cheap. Hey,
I'm sure I could.
What's up, Dylan Kaz? What's up, brother?
He that's like shopping for a lawyer on Temu. I'm all set with it.
I also
However,
definitely wanted to just, since we're shouting people out, Cody, One More Mission. He's a great friend of ours. He's been on the show a few times. Great man, 2-star two Purple Heart recipient. I've got the pictures of them if anybody wants to doubt it and talk shit, as well as the fragmentation that went through him. But he's in the chat. We hope you get better soon. Yeah, we hope you get
One More Mission. He landed on a channel name?
Yep. Landed on a channel.
I love you, Cody. We love you.
Hope you get
Lewis
better.
Kasman
brother.
loves you too.
We you're gonna get through this shit just fine. You've been through a lot and everything's be all right. I would also like to shout out my lovely wife who's been modding tonight. Thank you, Cass. I love you.
Oh, by the way, I got a Purple Heart too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from
he has
John
a Purple
Gotti.
Heart on.
No, I got a Purple
What
Heart.
kind of podcast do you think this is? This is an OnlyFans?
No, it's the Gambino family Purple Heart.
So what's it take to earn?
There you go. That's a fair.
Out of curiosity.
What's that?
What's it take to earn one of those out of curiosity?
I didn't say it again.
What's it take to earn one of those out of curiosity?
You put in the time that I did with a boss.
Fair enough.
Who is?
But you know something? I loved every minute of it.
Would you rather have been a made man
No.
or stayed on the side?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Like John used to say to me, you have the best of both worlds. You have the boss's ear 24/7. Who's got it better than you? These guys weren't allowed to go to his house.
Right.
I had a phone on my desk. And I had one phone. When that phone rang, that particular phone,
It's a bat phone, basically.
it's a bat phone.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
That was the boss. The guys in my office, when they see that phone ring, they all would scatter. I said, "Where's everybody going?" They would just run. Yeah.
All right. So, Lewis, I have to add you somewhere to this wall. I have to add you. So, can I get a red phone, like a bat phone, and put it up there?
Yeah.
And I'll actually hook it up so it can be the Kasman line. So I can be in the middle of a live. Me and Trev could be busting it down with a serial killer or
but
whatever
I don't want
maniac
it
of
to
the
be-
week.
I don't want it to be called a bat phone. I want it to be called Roll the Bones.
Roll the phones.
Roll the
Roll the
phones.
Bones phone.
Well, roll
Me
the
and Trevor
phones.
are officially launching Roll the Phones phone service.
Correct.
For secure lines.
Yeah,
But when
only.
you're getting wiretapped by the Mossad
I
operator,
don't want to talk about it, bro.
Russ and roll the phones.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Mossad.
Yes, yes, Mossad.
That's a long story. It's a very short
long
story, but I
It's
just
a
don't
very
feel like
long
getting
story.
into it because I pissed them off enough this week. They'll get pissed even
Don't
more
mess with
pissed
the
next week.
Mossad.
It's been a thing, man.
We've been bucking that. We've been bucking that system for maybe 2 months now.
Yeah, it's been getting a little ridiculous, and my phone's not acting right.
Don't mess with Netanyahu.
You're pinning a comment? Who is it? Who are you pinning? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
That's not who it was. Mr. the Devil.
1800 mob
18
talk. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll dial it in, brother. Like, you might have just created a Lewis Kasman hotline.
What's that? 1800 mob talk?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dial it in. Who gave you that?
I'm terrified of what will be on the other end.
was-
He might be. I gotta just to play it safe, buddy. He might be an operator. Like that.
No. Who gave you that? Dylan gave you that?
Yeah,
That was DCAS.
Yeah, that's my boy.
459, yep.
All right. 1800.
Okay, so he's not an operator. It's not Mossad.
No, he's 100%.
Thank God.
That
Roll
definitely
phone
made me
service.
feel a
Amy,
little
we need a
better.
T-shirt. We need a T-shirt of Trev kicking over a payphone, and that's gonna be that will be the Roll the Phones paid service. You know,
Right, I'm down.
you have to sign up for our landline service, or we'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Should that remind
And
me?
we know
when I
where
was
we'll
on
get them. We'll
tour?
gouge them on the service fees.
Of course. Amy Powers is right. Brady violation for sure. That's right.
You're supposed to. That's why we got Amy. That's why we got an Amy. Joe Rogan's got a Jamie. Me and Trev got an Amy, and that's why we kick the ass that we do. And you know, when you think about how wild and crazy your life is, who is Lewis Kasman?
Oh my God! You know what? I don't even know who Lewis Kasman is.
You don't?
Because I was so, I was so devoted to him till he left this earth, and until I put him in the crypt with his son, that's who I was.
I heard that story about the crypt, actually.
I literally crept in the crypt, and he wanted to be head to head with his son, and I made sure that that's what occurred.
Well, you did what you needed to do. I mean, if that's what he asked, like, I get it completely. I mean, I got some health issues. I've got a friend down in Texas who knows if I pass unexpectedly, put me in a big ass firework shell, as far as my being cremated, shoot me up in the sky. So if that's what he wanted, I heard the story, and man, you did what you needed to do.
His wishes were totally fulfilled on every level.
How has it been? Did you feel like a loss of identity almost after he passed? Did you not know what the fuck you were going to do with your life? Like, how did that play out for you?
I needed to decompress for a while, but like till this day, like I still mourn him. I miss him. When you're with someone, he was such I came from a fucked up house. Okay. I didn't have a father figure. So he was that person, and, there isn't a day that I don't think about him. And you know what? I made him a promise that, and listen, I don't derive anything when I go on American Made. I tell Jesse, you keep everything. I don't want anything. If I go on 52 topics, I don't take anything. I don't want anything. It's all about who he was and the legacy. His son could speak about him. Yes, his son can speak about him, John Jr. No one else besides John Jr. and me can speak about him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not about me. And it was never about me, even when he was alive. It's all about him, who he was, the kind of man he was, and how he was with his family, and how he was with me. I was his family, and his actions spoke that way. The one thing that does bother me.
Sorry, Chris. I apologize, brother.
No, finish what you were going to say, Trevor.
So, I'm guessing it definitely, besides that decompression time, it still affects you to this day. It's still something that you live with. I mean, have you been able to, I don't know if you would call it make a new identity after that, or how you would personally word it, but we'll just say that for, the sake of it. Like, have you been able to move on to something else and like accept that that's your life now, or has it been difficult the whole time?
Nah, it's very difficult, and I know it's difficult for John Jr.
Well, I mean, when people die who you're close to, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
who. You can be close to somebody, but when you're intertwined with,
for sure,
their business dealings, their personal dealings, and a man's incarcerated,
right?
And when you're incarcerated, you're helpless.
Oh, trust me. I know.
A boss or this or that. You could be anything you want and anything you were on the street. When you're incarcerated, you're relying on others to do everything for you.
Yeah, you rely on
especially when you're in a kennel.
Yeah.
No phone. Don't forget, for 3 months, there was no phone calls. When he got shipped out to Marion, there was no phone communication. And then he was getting a phone once a month. What could he tell you in that phone call?
Right. Probably like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, right?
Clicks off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real thing, man.
Yeah. So, you're doing everything. His son and I were trying to do everything the way he would want it done. I was with the lawyers and doing this and making sure he could. And then for a while, they weren't giving him commissary.
That's
Can you imagine?
that's torture. Personally, I've been through it. It's torture.
Yeah,
Like
that,
it's
that,
bullshit.
that fucking warden, that Bill Hedrick, wouldn't give him commissary because John wouldn't pay the fine. There was a $250,000 fine. So me and his son, let's just pay the fucking fine. He says, if you guys pay that fucking fine, I'll never talk to anybody again. So then we had to make a deal with the warden. And then finally, because remember, the water was tainted in Marion. It had a lot of all that shit in it from the electric transformers that they buried during the war. Marion is built on a polluted lake with polluted water supply.
Right.
So it was poison. And that's what I believe escalated the cancer in him. So they wouldn't let him get bottled water and they wouldn't let him get stamps. So he couldn't communicate and he couldn't drink water. So we had to make a deal with the fucking warden. And ultimately we did. We never paid that fine, but the warden had to ultimately, because believe it or not, Hillary Clinton, who was a United States senator at the time, went to bat for him.
Really?
Yeah.
That...
Well, I'm not really surprised, dude. And it's no disrespect to John, but Hillary Clinton's a crooked son of a bitch.
And unbeknownst to John, because he would have gone crazy if he would have known that, Charlie Rangel, a black congressman, and Hillary Clinton came to bat. Yep. Charlie Rangel.
That's fucking wild, bro.
Right?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Hillary Rodham Clinton came to bat.
Well, you know what? It doesn't surprise me though, because her mentor coming in was the guy that was doing Al Capone's books. Like he learned everything from the Chicago outfit. So I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that she would try to, butt up against another gangster. It doesn't surprise me in the least. And she's probably the biggest gangster in the world. Don't worry, Hillary, I'm not suicidal, so nobody's gonna buy that shit. So fucking boy, one thing that does bother me though is like Trevor asked, before, I can't remember how he phrased it, even though it was like 5 seconds ago, but it does bother me that you spent so much time dealing with his day to day that you don't know who you are and you lost touch of who you are. That does bother me.
Yeah,
because
but
you do
okay,
matter, Lewis.
I was okay with that.
But the time, and I hate to cut you off. I apologize, Lewis, but
right.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but the man's dead now. You know what I mean? Like what you did for all those years, you no longer have to do. And, it's, the fact, like Chris said, the fact that you at this point don't know who you are, like, I can understand why after all these years of doing what you were doing, but it's still one of those things where, you deserve better than that. You worked your ass off probably harder than, anybody can actually physically realize. I can only imagine the shit that you were dealing with numbers and books and just doing all the business shit, like, and then the personal
messages.
Yeah, it's just, it's outrageous. That's so much that I wouldn't be able to do it. And you deserve, and I think that John would really want you to be able to, for the rest of your life from here on out, be able to just be at peace and, know that you did what you thought was right and what for somebody else and for essentially an organization, but get it to the point where, that's what it is. That's what it was. And now you can start, doing what you need to do to further yourself mentally and spiritually and kind of figure out who you are now. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, but my whole thing is, and I made a promise to him, and it was very important to him. I want his legacy and who he is and what he stood for. I don't want it to be misunderstood. I don't want him just to be known as this tough guy, this badass guy.
Right.
He was, but he was a tough guy, a gangster, a mafia boss with integrity. People will say, you're out of your fucking mind, Kasman, you're crazy. No, he was a boss with integrity. If you were in the life and you did the wrong thing, yeah, you disappeared. He disappeared you. Okay? But no civilians got killed on his watch as a boss. Okay, Fred Weiss disappeared or got killed because they thought he was cooperating or he was a rat. Okay?
The difference there, though.
Correct.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Civilians never got in the way of him, and he made sure of that. Yeah, they'll say, the guy that ran over his son. That was a tragedy.
That's a different set of circumstances.
Exactly. That was a tragedy both ways. That guy should have left town. He was told to leave town. Okay? He wanted to be a tough guy. He wanted to be a big shot. He knew who John Gotti was. He knew what the deal was. Get the fuck out of your house. Go. Cops warned him. His family warned him. Everybody warned him. He wanted to stay. And he drove the same car that he ran over the kid with around the neighborhood.
That's fucking ballsy, man.
Hold the fuck on, bro, because that is a detail right there that is never said.
Right, nobody brings that up. Oh, John killed this guy. The guy had a party going in his backyard 3 days after young Frankie is run over by this guy. Okay, a party in his fucking backyard with the music blasting, and then driving the same car around the neighborhood past John's house.
Fuck. Oh my God. My temperature just rose a little bit. Maybe it's the gin and juice, but it's reality. My temperature just went up a little bit.
Yeah.
The fucking balls on that, bro.
Balls on that, dude.
All three of us here are parents. I don't give a fuck, bro. Like
that car would have been
bro, it would not go on.
Why didn't the guy get rid of the car? Why'd the guy run around the fucking neighborhood?
Huh?
Why'd the
I thought you were cutting me off, Kayla. No. I thought you were saying you're about to say some out of line shit. It's okay. No, somebody. Anything out of line on this show. I say a lot of things that are out of line and crazy. Don't see. I'm getting feedback from the booth. They're telling me I'm crazy.
Well, you are crazy. We know that.
I mean, it is.
It's a very well documented fact, but on the plus side, Trev and Amy and my future wife and Arolata, they put up with my fucking stupid ass. It's okay.
I feel bad for your wife. Maybe she should reconsider.
Dude, you know what? Listen, she's lucky to get a son of a bitch like me. Her life would be stale, boring. It just wouldn't be exciting without me.
That's true. That's
true.
Yeah.
Listen, there's nowhere else that you're going to see flag guns going off and bats and craziness and mob bosses. And first and foremost, we had a great time last night, Ant. We had a blast. We rung in the new year, even though it's November. We had a great time. And it's always a blast going out with the boss and Cosby. It's always a fucking blast. But no, Lewis, before I go on a fucking tangent about that guy in his car, you do fucking matter in this. And that's what me and Trev's thing is first and foremost. And we will sit with anybody outside of child predators. Those are the only one motherfuckers that we will not talk with. We won't even give you the time of day. Oh, we'll give you the time of day, just not in a way you're gonna like it.
Yeah, you're not gonna like that. Yeah.
But no, Lewis, you do matter in this.
I understand that. But for me, it's therapeutic for me. Okay. And I almost relive a lot of it. And it works for me. It's you can't you can't go to a shrink and tell a shrink these stories. So
it's valid. Yeah.
So it works for me. And when I'm tired of it, I'll stop. And let these people that make up lies and stories and exaggerate and bullshit and lie and fantasize.
That gorgeous bastard's comment.
There we go.
He said, "Great show, fellas. Can't wait for Lewis to come out with us." Absolutely. I don't know if Lewis is ready for us, Ant.
I don't know.
Man, yeah. Who knows? We'll just
But
have to
I don't
figure
know
it
if Lewis is ready for the boss.
Listen, if I could hang out with John Sr. and John Jr., I could hang out with you guys once in a while.
Listen, we're on 95 federal watch lists.
out. At least, yeah.
and growing. They're like our greatest subscribers. I look at
For sure.
being on these watch lists as subscribers. We have 100 unofficial.
They're
subs.
watching, so we're making money. Out of it.
Well, you know they watch these podcasts.
Well,
That
yeah.
you know.
Of course they do.
Well,
Don't
yeah.
be ridiculous.
I call out Mossad at the end of every at the end of every podcast. They're definitely watching.
Listen, yeah, we are the embodiment of crazy insanity. Like, we're not MobTube over here. We just have a blast. We talk to some real ass bastards that seen some shit, done some shit, survived some shit. And wait, I don't want to just limit it to real ass bastards. Real ass people like Chloe Roma, who we kicked some serious fucking ass with. Like 2 weeks ago, before we all caught the flu and damn near died. Kayla had to hook me up to a car battery to bring me back to life. But like, it was a great experience, both the car battery and the life.
That's good. Did you enjoy it?
I got blasted up like fucking Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. What a summer, even though we're in November.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, and we've had Cody on a few times, and he is the toughest, strongest bastard I've ever met, and I'm proud to say that I've been through some shit with that man. He's a great dude. Both when I met him in prison and outside of prison, I had no idea that he was a 2-time Purple Heart recipient.
Really?
And
Nice.
I mean, people don't understand. I just want to take a second here to shout the bro out because I saw this for the first time yesterday. So I hope he's okay with me sharing this. But, so I've got a picture here of his flag and then part of his BDUs that were cut off when he got hit by that V-bid and the shrapnel that went through him. And this piece of fucking shrapnel, man, at the bottom here is a
damn homie.
Yeah, I mean it's massive. And then here's a picture of once it got to his helmet, it's just sticking straight out of his helmet.
That's crazy.
It's completely straight out of his helmet. And for anybody, because I've heard you can't get 2 Purple Hearts unless you're dead. Well, motherfuckers,
No, you don't get the Medal of Honor.
there's one here. Purple Heart, you got one here, and then we've got the second one. My screen's blowing this out, but the second one is right here. So this was the first time I saw. Yesterday was the first time I saw, his little shadow box, and I stood there for about 20 minutes and was like, man, like I've heard him tell the stories. I've seen the pain in his eyes. I've seen him, relive this shit. He's been on the show and talked about this shit. But I was like, once I seen that piece of shrapnel and the blood still on those cut off BDUs, I was like, man, that's a different breed, and I got to say, it's a lot like, I've done some shit, gangsters obviously do their shit. We've had Chloe who said she's been through some shit. They've got, they fuck around with knives, etc. in Canada. But man,
we got Lewis, your storage unit, homie. That's your shrapnel, bro.
Yep. Yeah.
Even a box. What was it? A box hit you in the mouth or hit you in the face?
I wanted to go get some of his letters and different things like that. And it's a pretty big storage place, air conditioned. And so I was in there by myself, and this box came and hit me right in the nose like 2 weeks ago. But my eyes aren't as bad. They were bad a couple of weeks ago.
The makeup person did a great job.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, they
job.
killed that. Yeah, killed it.
Yeah, bro, like next level. But I mean, like Trev was saying, brother Cody Bowden, Chloe Roma, Alaskan Avenger, JD DeLay. These are all Gucci Boomer. These are all individuals that ride hard and deep. Yep. Brother Anthony Arlotta, there isn't a motherfucker on this planet that he's been a day one motherfucker for real. He was day one motherfucker. Like he was the first episode on here. And you are part of year one. Year one alumni. That's some real shit,
chapter,
Lewis.
Yeah. Because we're going.
That's some real ass shit. And we got, and you know what?
Anthony's a good guy. Really is.
There isn't a motherfucker on this planet, bro, that has done more for me. That he's done more for me than he even realizes.
And he's a real deal. He's not a makeup mobster, and he's not a wannabe mobster. Back in the day, he was a mobster.
Whoa! Slow down. You're trying to. Whoa! Ant was in the Mafia.
Yeah, he was in the Mafia. Yeah.
You know,
you didn't know that Aerolita was in the Mafia?
Who the fuck is Aerolita?
He started with Mossad.
Oh god. Fuck.
Yeah, I know that motherfucker. There was no Mossad operator.
Yeah, no. Anthony Aerolita, he was in the Mossad. He was working for the Israelis. 100%.
Well, maybe Anthony Aerolita was, but Aerolita, I can promise you, me and him have had some deep motherfucking conversations about the Kennedys. He knows more, but he was the one that told me about Tim Osmond in the 9/11 bullshit. Like, listen, he is a real ass G, straight up. He's as crazy as I am. And I got to get like this. I got to get like this when we get out. I can't hold myself at this figurative form of gunpoint. I'm only doing this for Kasman's benefit.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Exactly.
Lewis Kasman, he's got 6 bottles of Pazzo wine. So this holiday season, I forgot the camera's higher than my table. This holiday season, you best have Pazzo on that table.
And I told Anthony, the more wine we sell, he's going to have to give us envelopes.
I would never take an envelope from that man ever. I'll take a chicken parm or that fucking veal, homeboy. Like you already know.
Anthony knows the rules. Anthony knows how it works. That's just the way it is.
Since when's the boss taking a fucking envelope to some
you know what they say, Chris? It's not personal. It's business.
That's why. I mean, listen. The only person that I bring an envelope to is Ryan Cosby.
All right.
Because Ryan Cosby is the real deal. I love that guy. He's running for president in a couple of years.
Really?
I hope so. God damn it. He deserves it. He is the president. He's like the no, but seriously, I throw that love. I've gone out with him multiple times. He sent me because we have just passed. I was down with the flu. We did just pass our 1-year anniversary mark. However, in December, we're going to iron out the date. We're going to let you know. Probably within the next few days. It is the 1-year anniversary of Roll the Bones. And I promise you, it is going to be the most off the fucking chain live event. Maybe we'll get Lewis Kasman. You in, Lewis? You going to be in there for the event?
I'm in.
I'm going to hold sparklers on a live, but I have to hold it at a safe distance so I don't like this gorgeous ass beard
exactly.
that Jason so candidly plugged. And we're going to kick some ass. Ant, what do you say? I know you're still here. And you, Lewis Kasman, Trev, let's do a live stream. 1-year anniversary. We'll talk about 9/11 and the Kennedys.
Oh, let's go. Let's run it.
Tinfoil investment, hardcore, next level. Lewis Kasman's got plenty of experience fucking smashing feds. You'll argue with the best of them. You told me that 12 hours ago.
I went against Thornburg. I went with Larry King. And I was a kid. I was 21 years old.
Yeah, but Larry King's a Mossad operator. No, I'm just saying. That was an alleged statement. That's not fact. Tinfoil hat. I was just for liability reasons. I'm not accusing Larry King of being an operator.
Listen, you guys. Roll the bones. I'm going to hop off. I got to get my sleep. Thank you for having me on. Love you guys.
Absolutely, Lewis.
And
Lewis. We're going to do this again. I appreciate you coming out. Me and Trevor are going to do a couple closeouts, but I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
For this impromptu, crazy-ass fucking live. But I love you, buddy, and I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay. Good night. God bless everybody. Thank you.
Take it easy, brother. Brother Trev.
There we go, bud. Sorry I was late. I apologize to everybody. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and had to get to a particular store because they wouldn't be closed. They'll be closed tomorrow, and Shout out to Pops. He was in the chat earlier. He got me here 3 minutes after we started, and then I had technical difficulties for about 3-4 minutes. So I got here as soon as I could. So,
well, what's that? It's absolutely. It'll be a great night, Lewis. Great show. Yeah, absolutely, brother.
There we go, Anthony. Absolutely.
We're gonna talk Tim Osmond. We're gonna talk about the 9/11 bullshit.
9/11.
We're gonna show these motherfuckers what's going on. And but our little brothers in arms section, we will always show that love to JD Delay, the Wood Chipper Tribe.
Absolutely.
Our big little sister, Chloe Roma. We kicked some fucking serious ass. That was a great live. We got a little wild. We got a little crazy. And I don't regret a second of anything I said for any of the haters that might have judged some of me and Trev and Roma's harsh statements. I stand on everything I've said.
Absolutely. Me as well.
Our big brother, the Alaskan Avenger. I love that guy. Chef Vukovich.
Oh, I got the new. It's wintertime. We're rocking the new. This is one of 3. You can't get these. Shout out Michelle. And then the OG, the OG t-shirts with the OG pattern. We love Jason. That's the big bro.
You know what? I was kind of hoping there was going to be if he had a skull with a pot leaf on it, like I would have definitely bought that shit and I would have had him signed at Baked Alaska.
Hell yeah. That's good.
That was definitely that was going to be 100. I had that motherfucker right in the, I had to play the odds, so I came up with a couple of names of what things I was going to sign, but it was a knife block with a bunch of
Baked Alaska works good, but the knife block is what the wife wants.
Jay,
bro.
We need a Baked Alaska thing in the studio. And listen, I'm gonna fill this. We're filling these studios, and Trev included. We're gonna fill these studios with some relics of our past or our history. I have some things off to the side that I can't share, but I also have some great, Phil still got the cigar, homeboy. This is still got the case at least. I haven't smoked it because, but yeah, from our deity Ian Bick, and I do want to show that love to him because the hospitality this motherfucker showed us in Ant when we all went out there, him and Matt Cronin, amazing individuals.
And Matt, yeah.
150%. I learned a lot
They've
from
been
you, Matt.
very helpful for our podcast as well. There's some good dudes over there for sure at Locked In.
Bick is a real son of a bitch, bro. Like a real ass motherfucker, bro. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says in them comment sections. There is not a motherfucker on this earth, bro. That dude, it was like when I say this motherfucker got shit covered and hospitality, Ant will tell you this guy had fucking toothpaste and toothbrushes. He had a big ass fucking thing full of Trident gum. But no, he's a real cool guy, man. I really enjoy my time. Again, JD Delay, JD, I really appreciate you, wood chipper and me and Trev, not just once, but a couple times, homie. It really meant a lot to both of us. Irish Bomb Squad, we love you, brother. I'm
working on getting him. I've been harassing him through live feeds, and we're still trying to figure it out. But no, that's definitely one of the bros we want to have on. It should be a good one. I would love to hear what he went through in Portland a couple weeks ago, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, one or the other. And he is a homie of JD, and I think it would be great once we get him on. So that is something for y'all to look forward to here at Roll the Bones. Irish Bomb Squad is definitely somebody that you will see if you're popping in and out of our communities. Ourself, Roma Army, JD, Jason, you will see Irish Bomb Squad in the chat. He is a family member. Make sure you say what's up. It's a good dude.
Listen, everybody over there, get the fuck over to Money Mayhem and the Mafia.
Absolutely.
That's another. Ant is a day one motherfucker. Like, he was the first episode on this channel. He has booted me in the ass every time that I thought I was fucking up or doing shit. There isn't a motherfucker that has been more supportive of this platform than this guy. Also pinned at the top of the chat, celebrate Christmas with Pozzo Blend. I'm not just plugging it because I'm biased. I'm plugging it because the shit's actually good. And it's a great wine. It's a good wine for everybody. You got a red blend, you got a white, and you got that Cabernet signature blend.
And you can get all 3 bottles for less than $150. That's a steal these days.
Listen, if you want to get if you want a signed copy, bottle of this, if you want a signed copy of South End Syndicate, you can DM Roll the Bones, or I promise you can DM Ant yourself. He's a man of his word. He doesn't play some games. Like, he'll sign that book. He'll sign that book right in front of you. I've seen him do it. Like, he is, but he is probably one of the biggest parts of this family. Same with the Alaskan Avenger, the two of you. I fucking love both of you. You both are my, a rider dies to the end. You have to kill me to get rid of me. So, what else? Who else have we got to plug? Gucci Boomer, of course. Brother Gooch, Travis Ritchie. I can't forget those two guys.
Yeah.
Travis Ritchie had Accomplished Adventures. I love that guy. Like, Travis, me and him met each other through Jason. And we built a good bond beyond that. Gooch is a day one motherfucker himself. He's been riding for this straight up. But we're winding things down. We're coming up on the... Whoa, Trev's got something.
One more thing. Cody, our amazing friend, he has officially made a channel. I don't know when it will start, but it is one more mission. You can also, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think Facebook, I know that him and his wife are working on like Facebook. I'm positive about Instagram. I'm pretty sure X maybe, but that is for his liver transplant surgery, and all of that. So if y'all can, follow him, send him prayers, stay tuned with what he's got going on in his life. He's a good dude.
Sorry, I was drawn to Cody's comments in the in the chat.
Cody, I agree. Fuck Mossad. Now that Lewis is gone, listen.
What do you say? Let's tinfoil this motherfucker up Saturday night. We got nothing going on. We got some Candace bombshells. We had some health problems. We're getting shit back on track. Candace missiles.
Candace missiles and Erica bombshells, bro. Because I don't know what the fuck's what my head's fucking spinning.
Love some tinfoil merch. Well, there'll be some up for sale pretty soon. The tinfoil. We're gonna get our signature Reaper skull wrapped in tinfoil.
Yeah, it'll be over in there. You never know.
Do you think it'd be in poor taste to take the knife, the skull from Chef Vukovich, or getting another skull? Because if he happens to have an auction, I might just have him just wrap the head in tinfoil.
That's a good idea,
bro. Like, instead of signing it, Jay, if you got more skulls, homie, like I need a skull wrapped in tinfoil, but I want it wrapped by the Alaskan Avenger.
Yali, I'm not sure. So there's a bunch of bullshit. We will definitely cover that in our next tinfoil investment period. But you never know. There also could be, if she is pregnant, she could have froze semen from Charlie, and after he died, made a instant decision to do IVF, I believe it's called. She could be pregnant from someone else. JD Vance. You never know. So we'll figure it out. It'll be all right. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Besides that, at this point, I'm just going on in circles. I'm getting ready to wrap my head in tinfoil myself. So, Chris, are you good? I'm good.
I'm fucking fantastic. Listen, I want everybody going forward. This is the holiday season. There's a lot of people traveling all over the country, going to family members' houses, this and that. I want everybody to have a safe.
Absolutely.
What the hell am I drinking, sis? I'm keeping it old school hood, baby. I'm drinking some gin and juice. Yeah. Listen, you know, you got to keep it old school, love.
Is that Bombay or what?
Bombay, forget about it. I'm drinking Tanqueray, homie.
Listen.
Sorry, I'm drinking Pozzo gin.
Yes.
I'm only drinking Pozzo blend in my orange juice. But what do I get for being number one?
2 Purple Hearts.
2 Purple Hearts. Well, Cody, like, to be honest, I was thinking you had to help me because you are a day one motherfucker too. So, Aunt, I told you yesterday, pick your fucking tattoo because we're gonna start building this son of a bitch right over here. So I was thinking, but you, Cody, I was thinking your tattoo. If you agree with it, a 50 cal bullet.
That'd be a good one. That would be a good one for sure.
I got to get a shamrock for Trev. As long as I don't go to prison, then I don't got any problems.
You'd be all right. And if so, just,
yeah,
you know, in a non-gay way, be like, it's for the homeboy. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Yes, RTB merch ideas always.
I vote for Governor Trev kicking over a phone booth. And we are winding down, but I really do. I love everybody that made this possible this year. We're coming down, and next week is our, as far as the interview cycle goes,
crazy
season 1 finale of the interview cycle. Gypsy Crusader, Paul Miller. I've gotten to know Paul a little bit over the last couple weeks. You know, it was mid-October. I know we're saying it's later this month, but we're putting things together. But Paul Miller, Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and, you know, appreciate you. But next week, Gypsy Crusader, arguably our most controversial interview. And yeah, we're winding it down next month. We got fucking crazy shit coming. We got the 1-year anniversary, and I hope to see everybody there. I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna make it the biggest fucking live we've ever done. I'm even gonna maybe put sparklers in my beard. I don't know. I can't believe I've survived a fucking year. Cannot believe I've survived a year.
Well, listen,
like,
I'm here now. I got you.
Yeah, it's like together. Trev was responsible for the car battery that kept me alive.
It is what it is. You know, sometimes
I got blasted up like Enzo.
You know,
but you know what? I want everybody to have a very safe holiday.
Don't fucking drink and drive, please.
Yes,
we love all
certainly
you.
Do not drink in podcasts either.
I mean, that's debatable, but listen, don't fucking drink and drive. We love all of you. We don't want any accidents to happen.
You know, I'm going to say this, you know, for the last time, because I don't want to use this phrase anymore, but the path in life is completely fucking undetermined. And it's what you choose to make it. So when you make it something, you got to stand and deliver, ride for something, or die for fucking nothing. And me and Trev, we straight up ride for you. And we appreciate everybody that made this fucking possible. Straight up, we love you. You got anything else you want to add before we take this tinfoil craziness the fuck out of here? And I got to go start cooking.
We still got to come up with a good name for the crew. Are we the
Boneyard
Crew?
The Boneyard Crew. Yeah, we're not Howdy Boners. Like, it's a Boneyard Crew. It's going to be bring your names for this community to the community section. Right. This has been a great episode. A little bit, not as formal as some of our other interview structures. We're still figuring out the live interview things, but this has been a great episode of the Roll the Phones service. Roll the Phones podcast.
Yeah. Now
you know that will hopefully get an AT&T sponsorship.
Shit.
Hint, hint. How does Cass and how you and Cass put up with me and this fucking crazy son of a bitch?
Day by day.
I don't know how they do.
Day by day.
Yeah.
We'll be on the phone with each other, and they'll be on the phone with each other. And I'm like, who are you talking to?
How long has it been?
Kayla?
For 1 million lifetimes. And 1 million more.
Well, listen. You save that shit for
I got one in me.
When I'm marrying y'all. Listen.
Father Trev. Marrying me and Kayla next week. We're going to build a Scarecrow Michelle. We're going to build it. We got to have Scarecrow Avenger. Arolata will be present, so we do not need to make a Scarecrow for Aunt made out of Pozzo bottles. What's that?
We'll do something a little bit bigger later on.
We'll do a little bit.
You can always renew your vows. Me and Cass are coming up on 10 years next year, and we're going to be renewing our vows and doing an actual wedding because we got married when I was in prison. So, you know.
Yeah. We'll make when me and Kayla do the formal thing. We'll make sure the wedding is so big that we'll get one of those purses, like those big ass bags from Goodfellas, and me, you, and Trev will whack it up. Backstage.
That'll be the time you receive envelopes.
Damn right. They better fucking bring envelopes, and they better be buying Pazzo. My entire formal wedding will be flushed with Pazzo on tap. It'll be nothing but Pazzo. But yeah, we're out of here. We're loving.
Yeah, I think
with
with that,
everybody
drive safe, eat a lot of turkey or don't if you're vegan, you know, whatever the fuck you choose. Be with family, have a good fucking night, and you know, listen. Fuck Mossad. That's what.
And fuck Jeffrey Marsh.
There we go. I think that's our close. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Take us out of here. You redheaded. I can't finish my statement.
Love you all.
Yeah. Thank you, Red.
You don't get this. Yeah, you can't say that shit. You're not on the show. Like.